Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video I'm bringing to you my October reading wrap up. October was a super busy and hectic month for me, but despite that I was able to read quite a lot. I did not imagine that I would be able to read this much in October. Still I did somehow, I don't know how. So I've read a total of 19 books, of which 16 are physical books and 3 are audiobooks. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. Starting with the physical books as usual, the first physical book which I finished reading in October is a thriller book and it is Digital Fortress by Dan Brown. I had actually read 100 pages of this book in August and September together, and for some reason in just a single day I was able to finish the rest of the book. This is not a Robert Langdon book, so that needs to be kept in mind, and it happens somewhere in the late 90s. The book was published even before I was born, so it's older than me. I think it's around 29 to 30 years since this book was published, and here we deal with a section of the US government which deals with a lot of encryption of data and how to decrypt them also. Because of this, they have access to all kinds of data of all people across the world. And there is this huge machine called translator which they have, which helps them decode any kind of data that is encrypted. Once the head of this institute gets this program called Digital Fortress, which translator is not able to decode at all, and they have to go for and decode it somehow. The story parallelly happens in two places, one in the US and the other in Seville in Spain, and it is nail-bitingly well done. Just keep in mind that it does not have modern technology that we see in the 2020s. The book was published in the 90s, and for that, the book just does complete justice. It was so good that I had read 3/4 of the book in a single day, and I ended up rating it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have probably the worst book that I've read so far in 2025, and it is Disciple of the Devas by Shalendra Roy. I'm sorry that I picked up this as a book club pick for October, guys, because this was just a bad book. I don't want to talk much about it because I have a review of this coming up in the next 1 or 2 weeks. So please do watch out for that video if you're interested in listening about this book, because I don't have anything good to say about this at all. The book was available at a very cheap price. It was just available for 100 rupees on Amazon. That's the only reason I went forward and bought it, and I got my lesson. Again, I apologize to anyone who read this book because of me for the book club, because this is just a bad book. It is not good, and I'd not suggest anyone to go forward and read it. It's a 2.5 star book, and I rated it just 2.5 out of 5 stars. Next, we have an adult fantasy book, and it is also kind of part of a companion fantasy series. There are 2 books in the series, of which the first one is American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I read this one and the second book, Anansi Boys, also in October itself. I'll be talking about it in a bit inside the video. So in this book, we follow our main character, Shadow Moon. And Shadow has been imprisoned for a crime that he did for the past 3 years. He took the blame for his wife, and when he gets out of prison, he gets to know that his wife has died in a car accident along with one of his friends. He also gets to know that his wife was cheating on him with that friend. He's totally devastated after going to her funeral, and he's met by this strange man called Mr. Wednesday. He's a very old man, and he's basically kind of the old god, or one of the old gods inside America. There is this war brewing in between the old gods and the new gods in America right now, and Mr. Wednesday, who's one of the old gods, wants the help of Shadow in order to win the war. What all they do together is what we see inside this book. It's quite grimdark. It's not grimdark in the sense that there's a lot of war, blood and gore going on, but so many dark things happen inside the book. Do look up for the trigger warnings if you're going to read this, because there are quite a lot inside it, and I ended up rating this one also 4 out of 5 stars. After reading American Gods, I wanted to just read something chill, so I went forward and read 2 YA contemporary books after that one. Of these, the first one is A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Barnard, and in this book we follow our 2 main characters, Steffi and Reese, and it's a love story basically. Steffi is selectively mute. That is because of an intense anxiety issue that she has. She is not able to normally interact with people and speak with them. She can exist in society and be around people, but she does not feel comfortable talking to anyone that easily. And our other main character, Reese, has a hearing disability and he's completely deaf. The love story between a person who's not able to speak to everyone and the person who's not able to hear anyone is what we see here, and the representation done by the author here is just great. The story happens in Britain, so they use British Sign Language inside this one. The book's end covers also have some signs for a BSL given in here. It's a very nice book. It deals with a lot of serious topics, but in a very soft-hearted way. I can compare this one to Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella, because that also deals with anxiety attacks, but anyone can go forward and read it. There are no strong content warnings or trigger warnings for both of these books. This was really well done, and I ended up rating this 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next YA contemporary which I read after that one is Naomi and Ely's No Kiss List by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn. I read another series by these 2 authors co-authored together in January, which was the Dash and Lily series. If I'm not wrong, that was published after this one. And in this book, we follow our 2 main characters, Naomi and Ely, who are the bestest of friends. I'm saying bestest because they are literally that close to each other. They are almost like brother and sister, but Naomi has a crush on Ely. She basically loves him, but the thing here is that Ely is gay. Naomi's household is also not that great because her father ended up cheating on her mother with one of Ely's 2 mothers. Despite that, somehow both of these people are really close friends, and their parents also don't have any issues with them being friends in any way. What all happens in Naomi Naomi and Eli's life while they are in the beginning stage of college, and all such things are explored inside this book. Again, it's a really well done YA book, but you have to keep in mind that this book was published way back in 2007, so it's very 2000s in its vibes. I don't think people who read YA books and enjoy as they are written nowadays in the 2020s and late 2010s would enjoy this. But as a whole, it was a really solid book and I rated it 3.75 out of 5 stars. Next, we have the companion book or sequel to American Gods, which is Anansi Boys by Neil Gaiman again. In this book, we follow our main character, Charlie, and he is living a very miserable life, to put it in the very simple words. And for some reason, he has this twin brother also, whom he did not know existed. Both of his parents are dead right now, and he's engaged to this woman whom he is going to go forward and marry in a very short while. At this time only his twin makes his appearance and many things get revealed to both Charlie as well as his twin brother. It is quite a simple story, but the amount of things that happen in here and the supernatural elements make it quite complicated. Neil Gaiman's writing is nice in this one too, just like in any of his other books, but I can see that there's a lot of sexism in both American Gods as well as this one, in the way which he describes women, and based on all the allegations that we get on him right now, that kind of writing just pissed me off so much in both of these books. Despite that, this was a really solid story and the characters were really well done. Even the supernatural elements which we see here are kind of abstract in their tone. As a whole, I liked reading it and I rated this one also 3.75 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a children's book and I don't have much to talk about this because I just read it for taking a breather after Anansi Boys again, and this Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. In this, we follow the story of this very clever fox who ends up stealing chickens from the farms of 3 very grumpy men in order to feed his wife as well as his children or cubs. When these 3 men try to go forward and attack the wolf and just kill him off permanently, how the fox with his cleverness goes forward and escapes all these things is what we see here. It's really nice for children, even if you're an adult, just to cleanse your palate and feel nice in a way. We can go forward and read this. I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a very short classic and it is The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. I read The Picture of Dorian Gray I think in 2023 and I loved the writing in that very much. After that, I'm reading Oscar Wilde now only and this one was just amazing. It's a very tiny book, okay? I think I read this on a commute to and from work. It's a classic, so it did take a lot of time for me to read than I read normal books or modern books per se. We basically follow the story happening between 2 friends and how they get to find the loves of their life and get engaged to them. So super funny book, and the writing of Oscar Wilde is just as beautiful in this one as it is in any of his other books. I want to go back and read all of his backlist, but just because they are classics, I'm a lot intimidated by them. If you want a nice, sweet, humorous, sickly rich story, you can go forward and try this one for sure. I enjoyed it totally and rated it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a Murakami book, and this is the only Murakami that I've read so far in 2025, and I did enjoy it a lot. I think this is the first time ever that I've read a Murakami book this fast. I was able to finish this in just a single day and I was not able to believe it. It is also one of his most popular books, which is Norwegian Wood. I don't have a physical copy of this one, okay? This is from my sister-in-law and I borrowed it from her. In this book, we follow our main character Toru and what all happens in his life during his college years as well as a little bit as flashbacks from his high school years. He had this girlfriend named Naoko when he was in school and some things happened for them, which is quite a sad story. And now currently when he's in college, he finds this other friend named Midori, with whom also he's very much friends with. And Toru basically thinks about this entire story when he's on a plane to Germany and there is this song called Norwegian Wood by the Beatles which starts playing. And when he hears that song, he gets to remember and reminisce all these memories that he had from the past. There is very little amount of magical realism inside this, but the entirety of the story is really well written. I went into this one expecting a lot more magical realism. It was just like, a thread in a whole fabric. There was not much more than that. Despite it, I enjoyed it a lot and rated it 3.75 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a self-help book, which is How to Talk to Anyone by Leil Loundes. This book is basically just a guide in order to help you build proper conversations with people in order to help you benefit and boost yourself in your career. It also helps a lot with relationships if you see it from that perspective. The author basically gives us 92 tricks that we can follow in order to make our conversations with people even more informative, even more comfortable, even more authentic, and helping us to form a connection with them if that's what we are going for. It also helps us to make a proper impression of ourselves as the person we are with the people whom we are talking. I'd say that this is a book which is perfect for anyone who's in the final stages of their college because you'd be transitioning from one phase of your life to another, and this book I think can help a lot if you're going to just get started with your job or career. It was a very solid book and I just felt bad that I was not able to read this while I was in college. I ended up rating this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. Next, we have one of my most anticipated releases for 2025 and I think this is the only 2025 book that I've read so far. I have a few more which I've not even gotten yet, and the book that I'm talking about is Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. This is R.F. Kuang's latest release and it is an adult fantasy again. More like a dark academia book which has fantasy in it rather than a fantasy full-on like Babel or her Poppy was released. So in this book, we follow our two main characters, Alice and Peter, who are both PhD students studying in Cambridge right now. Babel happened in Oxford and this one's happening in Cambridge, and the time period during which the story takes place is around the 1980s. Both of them are PhD students, and what happens is Alice and Peter's advisor just dies out of nowhere and he lands up in hell. They are both learning magic here and they both form pentagrams and find their way down to hell. The plan is to find the advisor and bring him back to Earth so that Alice can get a recommendation letter from him in order to get a job that she wants. In the process, they also get to learn a lot more about each other, and they've been basically rivals for the past few days or past few months, and getting to know about each other changed their opinions about each other a lot more. I can say that this is definitely not the best R.F. Kuang that I've read so far. In fact, it's my least favorite of all her books that I've read so far also. I can say that Babel is my most favorite, after which comes the Poppy War trilogy. Then we can say Yellow Face, and at last we have Katabasis. It was not disappointing per se, but when it comes to R.F. Kuang, I have learned to expect a lot more than what I usually expect from other authors, because she has always kept me on my toes and surprised me so much with all the other 5 books that I've read by her. This one's not bad, but it's not as good as I wanted it to be. So I ended up rating this one 4.25 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a really nice book which I read, and it's been quite a while since I read anything from this author, and it is Brida by Paulo Coelho. I was pronouncing the book's name as Brida for these many days or these many years, and I actually listened to the audiobook of this one, which is available on YouTube itself, and parallelly continue on with the physical copy, and it is pronounced Brida in the audiobook. So I'm going with that from now. So in this book, we follow our main character Brida, who's 21 years old, and she's on the spiritual quest in order to learn more about herself and the world at large. She gets to learn from 2 different teachers. One is this man who's a magus, and the other is a woman called Vika. She gets to learn about the tradition of the sun and moon from both of these people separately, and what all helps her to understand herself better and just transition her life is what we see here. It's a really nice book, and I want to go back and reread it at some point because there are some beautiful lines in here which I have not annotated because I did not know that it would be this good. It's a very solid read, and by the end there are so many open doors here. It's not like a closed ending in any way. There's also a little bit of a very small tie-in for this book with The Alchemist. If you've read it, I hope you know the connection between these 2 books. I enjoyed it very much, and it is also a very quick read, so I ended up rating this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have yet another very old horror book, and it is Desperation by Stephen King. And I don't think I have read Stephen King in about 2 years now, and finally it was time to pick up one of his books. In this book, we follow a cast of characters who are stuck in this town called Desperation, and they are basically held hostage by this man who's kind of a lunatic and ends up taking all the people who enter the town to the police station there, and he's kind of holding them hostage there, killing them one by one. Our group of people whom we follow here are called the survivors, and they are basically trying to escape from desperation and make their way back to their normal lives. It's a horror book. There is a huge supernatural element that exists inside the story, and it is very frightening. Now, this is an old book, so keep in mind that most of the things that the author talks about are not going to make much sense for us because those kind of things don't exist anymore for all I know. I think the book was published in 94 and it's been 31 years since it was published. It's a huge book too, so it takes quite a lot of time to read. Still, I had the same kind of Stephen King experience that I've had with any of his other books also. They do drag a lot, they are unnecessarily long, but the stories that he tells and the kind of stories that he tells within his stories are just masterful. Okay, I don't think any author has done it better of all the authors that I've read so far as Stephen King has, because he just has the knack to say stories within stories without making us feel confused in any way, and it was the same here too. You follow a huge set of characters. It was really nice. Okay, I enjoyed it from the first page to the last. The supernatural elements were great. We see something new, unlike in any of his other horror books in general. If not for the unnecessary descriptions and the way in which it dragged a lot, I could have rated this more. So I went forward and rated this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book is the third and last inside the series, and it is kind of a companion series. You can read all the 3 books inside the series in any order. It's not going to spoil the series in any way or the other books inside the series, which is Three Sisters by Heather Morris, which is the third book inside the Tattooist of Auschwitz series. I read Tattooist of Auschwitz in 2023, its sequel or companion Silka's Journey in 2024, and I have read finally this one Three Sisters in 2025. There's also this kind of anthology collection called Stories of Hope, which was published after this one. I don't know whether I'll be reading that or not, but this one was really nice. Here we follow the Holocaust story of 3 sisters from Slovakia named Livy, Magda and Sibi, and of the 3 sisters, 2 are swept off into the concentration camps in Auschwitz, and what all happens to them is what we see here. The rest of the family is also dragged into the Holocaust and the concentration camps, but kind of 1 or 2 years after the two sisters. They do survive just like our other characters in the other two books, and what all they've been through and the kind of hope that they have is just excellent. Especially in this one, the thing I loved the most was the relationship between the sisters, which is the main focus throughout the book. I'm such a sucker for sibling stories and I love them always. And with the circumstances in which these people were, it is just amazing. Again, it's based on true events of two people from the Holocaust, and it's just mind-bogglingly awesome. I ended up rating this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a literary fiction book, and it is suitable for anyone who's 10 and above in age because it is fine to be read by people of that age as it doesn't have anything explicit, which is Word Nerd by Susin Nielsen. This book happens in Canada, and we follow our main character named Ambrose, who's a 12-year-old boy. Ambrose's father is dead because of an aneurysm, and he's been single-parented by his mother even before his birth itself. They are both completely depressed, and she's always tired because of being a single parent. She has a PhD in English literature, and she's not able to find a permanent job in any university that she starts working in, because of which both of them keep on moving from one place to another inside Canada continuously. During that time, they end up renting the basement of this Greek family called the Ease, and they live there. Their younger son has been imprisoned because of a break-in that he did, and he gets released out of prison. Our main character Ambrose is very much talented when it comes to playing Scrabble with his mother, because of which he has developed this ability to play it well very much. So Ambrose goes forward and for some reason starts playing with Cosmo, who's the younger son of the house owners who just got released. They both join this club for Scrabble and form a really nice kind of relationship between them. It's kind of like a sibling relationship slash father-son relationship that we see here between Ambrose and Cosmo. What all happens surrounding this is what we see here, and it is a really nice, heartwarming story. I liked it very much and I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. You can read this in just a single day. It looks a bit big, but it is not as such, so just go for and give it a read. The last physical book which we have inside the wrap-up is again the last book inside a series, and it is Superman Dawnbreaker by Matt Della Pena, which is the last and final book inside the DC Icons series. I have read the first 3 books inside the series way back in 2019, and 6.5 years after I read the third book inside the series, which is Catwoman Soul Stealer, I have read this one. All the 4 books have the same kind of mood, guys, okay? Basically, we follow the 4 most important superheroes inside the DC universe, who are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Catwoman. And of these, Superman is the last book which we have. We basically follow the stories of these superheroes as young adults, and in this one, Clark Kent is Superman, but he does not know that he's Superman yet. We get to see him finding his own abilities. He knows that he's different. He gets to know whom he actually is, where he is from, and what are all the kinds of superpowers that he has and why he has them. It was such a fun book to read, and it was also super fast paced. The plot is also super solid. Just Superman getting to know him is not the plot of this book. There is a lot more going in this small village called Smallville where Clark Kent is living, and it was just amazingly well done. I enjoyed it from the first page to the last, and I want to go back and reread the entire series because I missed the experience of enjoying these stories because I liked each and every one of the 4 books. I ended up rating this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now moving on to the audiobooks. The first 2 audiobooks which I finished are part of an Indian series, and the series is The Patala Prophecy by Christopher C. Doyle. I read another series by this author as audiobooks in September or August, I don't remember properly. I liked that series too, and this one was also really good. Here we follow our 2 main characters, Arjun and Maya, who are very close friends ever since childhood, and because of some things that happen in the beginning of the series with book 1, which is Son of Bhrigu, both Maya as well as Arjun are swept up into this kind of ashram setup where they are going to hone their abilities and become part of the actual crew who is trying to save the world basically from Shukra, who is the son of Bhrigu from book 1. Book 1 is Son of Bhrigu and book 2 is The Mists of Brahma. Both of these books were really well written, and they are perfect for beginners. Not just for beginners, anyone can go for and read this, but it is so well written that both beginners as well as seasoned readers can enjoy the series equally well. I think the third book inside the series is releasing this year or in the beginning of next year. I'm not sure though, but I'm definitely sure that I'm going to go for and read it as soon as I can. I want to go back and reread some of the backlist from Christopher C. Doyle because I have liked these books very much. I think I've read like 5 to 6 of his books until now from both of these series itself. I ended up rating both of these books 4 stars each. And the last and final book inside this wrap-up is At Night All Blood is Black by David Diop, which is the International Booker Prize winner from 2021, and it was translated from French into English. Here we basically follow the things that are happening or going on inside the head of our main character, who's a black soldier in France from World War I. He has this adopted brother, and both of them go into war fighting for France, and of these two, what happens is one of the adopted brothers is disemboweled by the German army, and he just begs his adopted brother to go forward and kill him there in order to relieve him from his misery. But for some reason, this brother is not able to do that, and instead he goes forward and ends up disemboweling a lot more German soldiers who ended up killing his brother, and he gets their weapons along with their hands to the camp back. He's very much shocked and traumatized, because of which he behaves in very weird ways. We also get to learn a little bit about their backstories, and the book kind of switches into some other regions also, which I could not make sense of in any way. It was quite a boring book except for the portrayal of war which was done well inside it. So I ended up rating this one 3 out of 5 stars. So yes guys, those are all the 19 books which I managed to finish reading in October. And for November, I don't think I'll be doing much of non-fiction November this year because my reading plans for November don't align with non-fiction books much this year. If you've read any of the 19 books that I've talked about inside this video, please do let me know about your opinions on these books in the comments below and we can chat more. And if you're going to pick up any of these books because of me talking about them right now, please tell me that also down in the comments. If you did enjoy watching today's video and found it helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.